Calaroga Shark Media.
You're not supposed to roadblock the top of a show. Well, let me set the scene for you here. Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your Daily Comedy News. I'm in the basement. There's no power. I'm sitting in the spot where I usually record the show, illuminated by the light of my flashlight. Now, the power lines have been on the ground for like 6 days, and about 20 minutes ago, a power crew from Alabama came to reattach the power lines to my house, and I'm in New Jersey, so I appreciate these guys coming all the way up. So that's the sitch here, but of course the power guys are on the lawn, which is making the dogs bark, and I'm sitting in the dark. So that's the scene today, but luckily I had prepped almost all of the show before jumping in here. Let's get to it. Adam Sandler said yes right away when he was asked would he officiate the wedding of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. A source tells People magazine Sandler was incredibly honored to be part of such a special day. The source adds that Sandler was the perfect person to serve as officiant, noting that Sandler has been happily married for so many years to his wife Jackie. They just celebrated their 23rd anniversary. I mean, yeah, I've been happily married for over 25 years. Am I qualified? Who knows? Sandler wasn't just trying to find the perfect words or make it this big production. He just wanted to speak from the heart, pass along a little wisdom that he's gained from his own happy marriage. People tells us Sandler kept it low-key before the big wedding. He was seen stepping out in the New York City heat wave hours before the wedding to shoot some hoops, as one does. Sandler headed out in his signature basketball shorts and yellow T-shirt. You know, Sandler and I could be friends. No, I'm not kidding. I went for a run this morning in a yellow T-shirt and shorts. We were told Sandler, right after the basketball, went out to pick up coffee for his family. Back in 2025, Sandler told Entertainment Tonight, Travis Kelce's like the guys I grew up with. When I was with Travis, it reminded me of my buddies in high school, just being able to laugh and say the things you want to say. Taylor is incredible. Taylor's so damn nice to my family and has always been. My kids have met Taylor a bunch of times over the years, and she's ridiculously nice to them and warm. Now, see, here's our first, I could edit this out, but here's our first victim of the power outage. Here in the 2 slot, I had some comments from comedian Michael Loftus, who was saying that the marriage would only last 3 years, but I didn't actually paste it to the script, and now I don't have power to grab the article. See if I can get it on my phone. Why don't you edit this out, John? Because that's not fun. I'm sitting in the dark. This is not a bit. Nope. I don't have enough internet to find that story. So now we know what will be in tomorrow's show. Moving on, John. Focus. USA Today asked a bunch of comedians about that guy, Louis C.K. You know Louis C.K.? He used to be canceled, but now he's got a big Netflix special that's not that good. Margaret Cho posted on Threads, I'm going to have to clean this up a little bit, Louis C.K. should have just had an OnlyFans so people could pay to watch him do the kind of thing Louis likes to do in front of people instead of subjecting female comics to it. Missed financial opportunity. Kamau Bell on his Substack took a break from taking shots at MAGA comedian Nate Bargatze. Bell wrote, so many people at Netflix had to sign off on CK getting invited to the festival and getting a new special. What were they all thinking? So many people have to work the show that he headlines, whether they want to or not. So many comedians will be at events and parties with Louis C.K., whether they want to be in the room with a known sex pest or not. So many people who make so much less money than him will have to pretend like they're okay being in the same room as him. This is how showbiz works. I will agree with Mr. Bell in this is how showbiz works. If you want to hang around with people who are cool and not at all a-holes, don't get into showbiz. Comedian Steve Hofstetter said the brief hiatus never amounted to real accountability. Steve said comics take time off all the time to work on a screenplay, to go on vacation. The idea that having to take 6 months off the road was somehow a sentence for his behavior is ridiculous. There's nothing America loves more than a redemption story. If he had come back with contrition, with understanding, and with the desire to help prevent it from happening to other people instead of a woe is me attitude, would have been a very different response. I'm going to point out here, because I'm friends with both Steve and Larry the Cable Guy. Steve factually put out an album one time called Cure for the Cable Guy. The cover of that album is an effigy of someone being hung that is dressed similar to the way Larry the Cable Guy does during his act. I know that Larry was quite hurt by this and confused by it because he didn't know or interact with Steve. And you've heard me say a million times on the show, Dan Whitney, Larry the Cable Guy, is an awesome, awesome guy. Not sure why Steve chose to call his album that, but that was an awkward time. And if you make me pick, I'm on Team Cable Guy in that fight. Rob Shuter has a pretty gossipy Substack. He often quotes sources and doesn't put names to the sources, so take this with a grain of salt, as they say. But Shuter wrote, sources tell naughty but nice Stephen Colbert has largely retreated from public view as the reality of his cancellation sinks in. I don't know, but, the show's only been over for a month. It's summertime. What is the guy supposed to do? Can't take a break? But Shuter writes, friends say Colbert is heartbroken, frustrated, and struggling to imagine life after spending years at the center of late-night television. One insider says this wasn't see what I'm saying? This wasn't just a job, it was his identity. Stephen poured everything into that show. Losing it has hit him hard. Shuter's column adds, the emotional toll was hard to miss when Colbert attended Taylor Swift's wedding over the weekend, where guests spotted the usually upbeat comedian looking unusually subdued and miserable. How do we know this? I thought nobody was talking about this wedding. How do we know this? Even longtime colleagues are surprised by how little they've heard from him. Another source, again no name, says he's always been the one holding everyone else together. Now he's the one who needs time. He stepped away to figure out what comes next. Yeah. An insider reveals writing is what's saving him now. It's giving him somewhere to channel everything he's feeling. You may recall, Stephen is working on a new Lord of the Rings film for some reason. One source says, this isn't retirement, it's recovery. Once he's ready, he'll be back. Yeah, no kidding. All right, this next segment I'm going to call Bad Ideas. Bad idea number 1. Leslie Jones is giving property owners a reality check on HGTV's upcoming series, Roast My Rental. That's right, it's Roast My Rental starring Leslie Jones. This will be out Friday, July 24th, because, don't you want to sit home on Friday night and watch Leslie Jones roast rentals? There is a trailer. Let's listen.
Please take me to my vacation villa. Woo! Disgusting.
Millions of people check into vacation rentals each year, and when they're great, they can make a trip unforgettable.
This is gross! What in the fresh black plague is this? Oh no.
But sometimes what's posted online,
That's not reality. Do we need to call the authorities? Manson would love this, because this is definitely a serial killer's den.
I'm Leslie Jones, and as a comedian, I travel a lot, and I've seen it all. The good, the bad, and the what were they thinking?
Ooh.
Sometimes a property just loses its way, and that's where I come in. These owners...
Now, fortunately for us, and I'm not doing a bit, that's when the power went out. As I was pulling the clip, I lost the internet, and that was all the clip I was able to pull. But luckily for us, do you want to watch that? We are told after Leslie Jones scopes out each property and gives owners an honest roast, she then calls on renovation expert and Help I Wreck My House star Jasmine Roth to help with the major overhaul. Roast My Rental, Friday, July 24th at 10 p.m. If you have no life, now you have something to watch. Bad idea number 2, Chelsea Handler is expanding her podcast network. It's the launch of the Dear Chelsea Network because Chelsea Handler is at the peak of her popularity right now after the Kevin Hart roast. This is great timing. The multi-year partnership with iHeart will see the creation of several new shows executive produced by Chelsea Handler. A suit over there says Chelsea has become an incredibly influential voice in the podcasting space with her unique ability to create community among her listeners. I will be honest with you, I'm finding out as I read that sentence that Chelsea even has a podcast. And I'm in the podcast industry and go to shows and Google the word comedy every day and do this show. I'm not sure how popular it is, but I have no internet, so I can't tell you. The first podcast launching on the Dear Chelsea Network will be You're the Problem with Yamanika, hosted by Yamanika Saunders and longtime friend and producer Tyree Rush. That'll be out July 15th. That's Wednesday. It focuses on pop culture, in-the-moment current events, news, and politics. As a podcasting expert, I could tell you from that description, that means the show's completely unfocused, and we're going to talk about, stuff. That never works. Chelsea Handler says, when I started Dear Chelsea, I wanted to give people access to me and build a place where people could come for honest advice, real conversation, and a lot of laughter. And my dog is barking, so quick pause here into an edit. And I think they've reconnected the wires because I just heard the power click back on. So I'm going to go have to check on this, guys. Where were we? Chelsea Handler was saying, when I started Dear Chelsea, I wanted to give people access to me and build a place where people could come for honest advice, real conversation, and a lot of laughter. Building that community into a network feels incredibly meaningful, especially because I get to launch it with someone I know, love, and believe in as much as Yamanika. She's one of the funniest people I know, and I can't wait for people to make her part of their lives the way I have. Bad idea number 3, Fred Armisen and Carrie Brownstein are headed back to Portland. Why? A podcast. It's Portlandia, AO Rewatch, produced by Will Ferrell's company. That's out on the 16th, which is Thursday, with new episodes weekly. Portlandia AO Rewatch. We'll see Armisen and Brownstein revisiting their cult classic TV series, which documented the hipster fad of birds as decor, unique bicycles, and intense mustache care that defined the capital of Oregon for an entire generation. Now, the reason I don't love this idea is Portlandia ran for 77 episodes across 8 seasons on IFC. I know people like it, but it's not exactly like The Office. I just think the audience is too small for this to work. Brownstein said, "Our hope with the Portlandia Rewatch podcast is to continue the conversations we began when the show first aired. Conversations around community, how a place shapes and defines us, how much of life is mere performance, and how absurdity is often the best way to make sense of the world. Revisiting these episodes also reminded me of the ways Fred is singularly hilarious. We love getting to hang out and reminisce, saying that praises the cast, crew, and the city itself, and have new means of connecting with our audience." I barely made it through that description, and there's a whole other paragraph. Fred said, "Rewatching these Portlandia episodes was so enjoyable. I really laughed, which is a strange thing to say about something I'm in. Carrie made me laugh a lot, blah, blah, blah. I'm so bored." Bobby Flay says one of the highlights of returning to the American Century Golf Championship every year is to catch up with Colin Jost, especially if they end up paired together on the golf course. Prior to the event, Flay said, "I'm looking forward to seeing Colin Jost at the very least. I know if I play with Colin, it's going to be funny on the golf course." Flay says the competition is anything but casual. People think we're having fun. We are, but we're also trying to make par. It's very, very competitive. It's the most nerve-wracking thing we do all year. You could ask any of these guys out here. We're grinding for pars. Listen, I'm a chef. I cook for a living. I'm playing against world-class athletes all over the place, so it's not easy. Hey, good news. We are back. The lights are on here in the office. Now it's too bright in here. Stop complaining, John. We got to talk about Count Binface. The Telegraph asks, could Britain be hurtling towards its first prime minister? There's a comedian, John Harvey. He goes by Count Binface. So this is a guy with a garbage can on his head. It looks like a Monty Python sketch. Longtime prankster and electoral underdog Count Binface, formerly known as Lord Buckethead, stands for the exasperated voter, says the Telegraph. Variety profiled this guy. They tell us the wannabe politician who last month stood in a by-election against Andy Burnham, widely considered the UK's Prime Minister-in-waiting, is set to run against right-wing MP Nigel Farage in a yet another upcoming by-election. Despite Farage's resignation coming only a few days ago, the ballot has already descended into a circus as the politician vowed to stand for re-election, resulting in all the other major political parties pulling their candidates over what they're calling a political stunt. Enter Count Binface, the comedian dressed as a trash can. Variety broke this down. Subheader, who is Count Binface? Count Binface is a 5,900-year-old intergalactic space warrior from the planet Sigma 9, whose motto is, "Make Earth Great Again." Love it. He has stood in 5 elections since 2019, including the London mayoral election, the 2024 general election, and the previously mentioned one against Andy Burnham. Some of his policies include changing London Bridge's name to Phoebe Waller-Bridge, building at least one affordable house, and selecting himself as the UK Eurovision candidate for 2027. Now, I mentioned he used to be Lord Buckethead, but you see, Lord Buckethead had first appeared in a 1984 Star Wars parody called Hyperspace, so people started arguing about the IP. The conversations were initially friendly. Imagine arguing over Lord Buckethead. But the conversations broke down. He was forced to hand over the password to the Lord Buckethead Twitter account, so he evolved into Count Binface. Oh my, so silly. And I'm going to go see what the Power guys are up to. That's your comedy news for today. I will see you tomorrow.